There's going to be stiff competition in theaters this December because Disney's supposed to be releasing the prequel to their 2019 live-action Lion King movie, and on the exact same day, Paramount's supposed to be releasing Sonic the Hedgehog 3. Both these films are clearly aimed at a family audience, but only one of them will ultimately win out over the other. So the question is, which one will it be? Well, if you look at the consensus online, most people seem to think Sonic the Hedgehog 3 is going to be the dominating force. This title from Fandom Wire: not a single soul is going to watch The Lion King. Disney might have committed a huge mistake by going up against Keanu Reeves and Jim Carrey star Sonic the Hedgehog 3. Scrolling down into the article, after the same day and date release of Barbie and Oppenheimer in 2023, several production companies and films tried the same phenomenon of premiering two different movies on the same day, but unlike Barbenheimer's hilarious coexistence, not always do fans root for both films. Sometimes it ends up in battle like Keanu Reeves' Sonic the Hedgehog 3 and Mufasa the Lion King. And a lot of that has to do with the fact that you really just can't replicate online trends like this. Barbenheimer is pretty much a meme right there, and like any viral trend, you can't predict it and you can't recreate it. A lot of studios, like I said, tried to capture the same lightning in a bottle that they did with Barbenheimer, and it just didn't work. It grew organically out of the internet, and it pretty much stays that way. And another reason why it was successful is because both these movies are very different movies. So you would have maybe a woman wanting to go see Barbie, her boyfriend wanted to go see Oppenheimer. Both those movies are one that the other one could tolerate watching, so they made it a double feature date out of it. You wouldn't see that necessarily when it comes to Mufasa and Sonic the Hedgehog 3, though, because both these movies are aimed at the same target audience. And when you have parents taking kids to see the movies, you probably aren't going to have parents taking their kids to a double feature. First and foremost, that's asking a lot for a kid to sit through two movies like that. And also, it's just pretty expensive nowadays to try to take your kids to see two movies like that. So I think what we're going to see is basically people choosing which one do they want to see. And it's looking like Sonic the Hedgehog 3 is going to be the one that wins out. According to recent reports, it has been revealed that the Lion King prequel, as well as Keanu Reeves and Jim Carrey led Sonic the Hedgehog 3, are both releasing on December 20th, 2024. While this has already sparked significant buzz online, there have also been reports of Sonic 3 movie fans declaring war on Mufasa. Perhaps Disney committed a major mistake by pitting against Reeves' film. Yeah, I don't really understand why Disney decided to release it in December, because the previous movie, the 2019's Lion King, I believe that was released in the summer and it was really successful. So I don't understand why they were releasing it in December. I think it has to do with the fact that they don't really have a whole lot of stuff coming out this year. And right now, Inside Out 2 is still doing pretty good in theaters. So maybe Disney didn't want to actually go against itself. It doesn't have anything coming out in December, so maybe they figured we have that blank spot in our record or on our schedule, so we can release it then. But Paramount announced, I believe back in 2022, that they're going to be releasing Sonic the Hedgehog 3 in December of this year. So yeah, Disney did kind of choose to go against them by basically challenging them at the box office, because they knew Sonic the Hedgehog 3 was going to be out at this time. But they chose it anyway. And right now, I think they were in the mindset our last movie did $1 billion. Sonic the Hedgehog movies, those are usually only good for a few $100 million or something like that. So we should be able to beat them. And now people are looking at it and they're thinking not so fast. Maybe you won't actually win out after all. The stakes seem high, with Disney on one side trying to bank on the nostalgia of the prequel that delves into the backstory of the iconic Lion King, and Sonic 3, on the other hand, trying to draw in audiences with its fast-paced action and comedic brilliance. And if you look at the previous movies within each of these respective franchises, you can see Sonic the Hedgehog is one of those movies that actually is existing because it has goodwill amongst audiences. If we can remember back when the first movie came out, a lot of people hated the initial design of Sonic for that. The director addressed it and said okay, we hear you. We're going to change it and it'll be something that you liked. And that carried a lot of goodwill with audiences, and as a result, people actually came out to support the movie. It was successful, so then they got a sequel. That one was also good, and now we're getting a third movie in the franchise. Now you can even go to The Lion King and saw how that did. $1.6 billion at the global box office, and at the time that this movie came out, it was a #1 highest grossing animated film of all time at the global box office, a feat that has just recently been beaten by Disney's Inside Out 2. And I'm not sure that we'll see the same thing with Mufasa, because it says on the article how there's a nostalgia surrounding this franchise, but I don't necessarily believe that that's the case. There was a nostalgia for this movie because a lot of people who are taking their kids to see it grew up with the original 1994 Lion King movie. But this upcoming one, it really doesn't have the same nostalgia because it's something completely new. And judging by the trailer, it looks like it's actually trying to rewrite the original story to it. You can even look at the like to dislike ratio on the trailer. It's not a real good sign, all things considered, when this came out, and this from the official Walt Disney Studios YouTube page. So this looks like something that a lot of people aren't really wanting to see at theaters because, I mean, it's just a story that no one was asking for. Compare that to Sonic the Hedgehog 3. This trailer just came out, but it's a lot better received than what we saw when it comes to Mufasa. So a lot of people are speculating this is probably going to be the movie that wins out, but even if this doesn't necessarily dominate the box office or doesn't necessarily make as much money as Mufasa, that's not necessarily a bad thing for it either, because just jumping back here, you can see the production budget for the Sonic movies are usually under $100 million. So there's no reason to think that this third one, I don't know the budget for it, but I'm expecting it to be kind of along the same lines. So it has a lower bar to clear in order for it to be successful. You can compare that to The Lion King. This has a $260 million budget. I think it's similar for this upcoming film, Mufasa. So this is a movie that probably needs to clear like $700-800 million at a minimum in order for it to be considered successful for Disney. So they need to do really well at the box office. They don't just need to be the number one movie. They have to be the number one movie by a large margin. And when you have something like Sonic nipping at its heels, or at least right now it's looking like it's taking an early lead, there's doubt to be had whether this is going to happen. And even though this movie, I think there is some goodwill surrounding it because the movie was successful. And even though I didn't personally like it because the original is my favorite animated Disney movie, so I really had no interest in this movie. There's a lot of people who like this one, but we've seen with recent years that goodwill from previous movies doesn't necessarily carry over into modern Disney movies. A lot of people just kind of take each movie as an individual case-by-case basis. And unless there's actually something just mind-blowing about this one, I think if families are going to choose one movie to go see in theaters in December, it's probably going to be Sonic. But let me know what you think about this in the comment section below. What movie do you think is ultimately going to win out at the box office? Is it going to be Sonic, or is it going to be Lion King, or is it going to be something else? And also, if you haven't already, make sure you click that subscribe button if you want to stay up to date with the latest entertainment news. And if you can, click that like button and share the video out there because it really helps out with the channel. Thank you.